Okay, welcome to BWTM Sports Gaming. The conversation once again is Anthony Joshua. This has been a conversation that has been ongoing on this channel, and I'd like to think that this conversation will be a bit brighter because previous conversations with Anthony Joshua have been quite damning. So first things first. As you know, you may not know, I did an interview with Stacey McKinley about a month ago, month and a half ago. He's the former trainer of Mike Tyson, trained Mike Tyson for 10 years, plus trainer of 35 world champions, a heavyweight specialist. So Stacey knows what he's talking about when he's talking about boxing. And he also trains Trevor Bryant as well. Who's the current WBA heavyweight champion of the world. Yeah, the actual WBA championship of the world, which is the legit WBA championship, the championship that has got a long legacy or lineage behind it. Muhammad Ali even held that belt. Yes, but the way they've operated recent years and super champions, super belts and all the rest of it has very much discredited, even though it is a legit belt. It is a legit belt in terms of its legacy. It's got more legitimacy than any super champion belt around. And although people love the WBC belt and the green and gold belt, WBA is what it is historically, a very legit belt. And that's what Trevor Bryant holds. Yes, he's not the guy. He's not Tyson Fury. He's not Anthony Joshua. I get that. But also Davey Hay had that belt as well. Povetkin's had that belt. So Klitschko's held that belt. Lennox Lewis has held that belt. So there is history behind the belt. I don't want to get caught up in that, but I just want to mention that for 1 second. So Stacey McKinley also has spoken at length as well about his thoughts on Daniel Dubois versus Trevor Bryant. I won't ruin that for you. Just the interviews there. It's quite an extensive interview, so I won't ruin it. But do check out that interview. Also in that interview, talking with Stacey McKinley, was a name that British boxing fans, if they didn't know him, would know more of him now, is Ronnie Shields, trainer of Jamal Charlo. Also has trained a number of fighters as well, and has been linked with Anthony Joshua. And Stacey McKinley and Ronnie Shields have worked together. And Stacey knows Ronnie very well, as he worked with him with Mike Tyson. I believe that particular fight, Ronnie Shields and Mike Tyson. Ronnie Shields also worked with Mike Tyson later in his career. Again, to know more about Ronnie Shields, you can listen to the same interview with Stacey McKinley on this channel. So I won't ruin that for you either. In my opinion, there is an announcement to be made shortly of Anthony Joshua and his new trainer. We know that he's going to leave Rob McCracken. It's been noted for a long time he was going to leave Rob McCracken. The thing is, you know, he talked about loyalty after he got really beaten up by Andy Ruiz in the first fight in America. He talked about loyalty and you know, how he was so loyal to Rob McCracken and people were foolish for thinking he should leave Rob McCracken, and that, you know, Rob McCracken's brought him through boxing, and, you know, it's not about leaving Rob McCracken, but it's about adding to the team. I think that's when he brought in Angel Fernandez. Somebody can forgive me if I've got that wrong. Here we are in 2022, and Anthony Joshua has been seeing a number of trainers. If this was a marriage, then Anthony Joshua would be considered far from faithful. He'd be very unfaithful, going to different partners and seeing different partners, and the whole world seeing that he's been going to different partners to practice his skills and learn more things, and develop his his professionalism in his sport. If this was a marriage, as I said, it wouldn't be going too well, and some people would be stoning Anthony Joshua at this point. He's done it with Rob McCracken, and I kind of feel sorry for Rob McCracken because he's had to sit back and watch. He's the guy who's trained for so long, took him to the heavyweight championship of the world, and then seen him out there with all these different trainers. And I'm like, it hasn't looked good. It's not a good look, but that's the way Joshua's decided to go about things. We'll see. So it would make sense for Anthony Joshua to go with Ronnie Shields because he's got a heavyweight resume. Anybody else's name, if you're talking about, somebody's mentioned about Robert Garcia, if he does go with Robert Garcia, then I will be very, again, concerned. It will be very damning because, again, Robert Garcia hasn't got any heavyweight history behind him. He hasn't trained any heavyweights, and heavyweights are very different to train to middleweights. As again, James Alabashir, former trainer Alexander Usyk, and many other heavyweights, over 52 years of boxing experience, again on BWTM Sports. Will tell you, current trainer of Vlad Tsarenko will tell you that training heavyweight fighters is very different to training middleweight fighters. So if Joshua has decided to not go with Ronnie Shields and go with Robert Garcia, I would be absolutely shocked. Let's put it this way. So let's just go with what I personally think would be the logical thing to go with Ronnie Shields. Whether it be Ronnie Shields, Robert Garcia, Freddie Roach, Floyd Mayweather, Eddie Reynosa, whether it be whoever it may be, for argument's sake, for whoever it may be, for argument's sake, yeah? The first thing that the trainer or the team will have to address is about what stance Joshua's boxing from, or what punches he has to throw, or tactically how he goes about beating the current unified heavyweight champion of the world, Alexander Usyk. As I said before, it's his mental setup. And Rob McCracken's brother, Max McCracken, I think is his name, was asked the question whether Anthony Joshua was gun shy. Now, I have spoken about it in many different forms. I haven't used the word gun shy, but I've said that he is mentally weak, and it's been shown in fight after fight. And when Joshua is put under pressure, when people start throwing punches back at him and force him to fight off a back foot, he has looked incredibly suspect. The guys that have put him onto the back foot and have forced him to fight: Vladimir Klitschko, Dillian White, Andy Ruiz, Alexander Usyk. Before the Ruiz fight, I did a breakdown and said the reasons why I believed that Ruiz would win and win by knockout, and the left hook would be the problem. And that kind of played itself out. This isn't a I told you so situation. It's just something I saw. Somebody who's got fast hands that will come forward and that doesn't mind taking a few punches, that will come forward and throw punches and put Joshua under pressure. Joshua's fine if you allow him to, like with any boxer, if you allow him to use a jab and use his attributes and not allow and control the distance, that's fine. Joshua is brilliant like that. When he's on top and he's blasting guys out, throwing big right hands and then falling for the ropes and stuff like that, it's brilliant. And that's the image of what a lot of boxing viewers, when they see these highlight reels, that's how they remember Anthony Joshua. Confident, on top of the world, knocking people out, the size, the power, the physique, all those things. And when he started going all wrong, It was, oh well, Joshua will come back. He'll just come back, and everything will be okay. Well, I'm afraid to say everything's not okay, because this term gun shy means that when a guy gets hit on the chin, or gets knocked out, they become hesitant in throwing punches. They could become hesitant in doing what they normally would do, which we've seen in these highlight reels and certain fights with Joshua's poleaxed guys and knocked him out and looked spectacular. That sort of form hasn't been the same or consistently. Is it because the level of opposition improved? Of course, I would say that is the case. And also the punches are flying back more regularly, and that technique is being put under pressure. So I'm trying to be as, what's the word today? Because some may say I've been a bit unbalanced in my view. I'm trying to be as, I don't know what the word is, as clear as I can be to communicate the message that now that Joshua is changing trainers, they have to now say, this is who you are now, or this is who you've been. We're going to get you back to that guy. We're going to get you back to that guy that was knocking everybody out. We're going to get you back to that guy who was poleaxing everyone. We're going to make you into a beast. We're going to make you into a real champion. And that sounds good for the papers. It sounds good for the fans. It puts a lot of faith. The fans, love that sort of stuff, and supporters like, yeah, gonna get a good trainer, and this is gonna all take off and gonna be brilliant. And I hope it is for Anthony Joshua, and I hope in the first quarter, as he says, in the first quarter of business, that things go off to flying start. The first quarter is you're facing a guy that outboxed you, outpunched you, outmaneuvered you, outworked you, rocked you, hurt you, and almost stopped you in the 12th round, but for the bell ringing early. We all know about the 10-second situation, or just before the bell should have rung, the bell rung earlier. We all know about that. So I will bring up. Well, let me bring a point here very quickly. I'm going to read all your comments, but just this one comment comes up here. Not getting back to that guy. Doesn't matter how many times you say it, Ingram. The show is over. Scam is done. Well, I want to use a bit of Vaseline in the situation because, as Derek Chisel would say, I have been quite harsh before in my my reports or my comments on Anthony Joshua. So for them to bring him back to that guy that was, there's a few questions I have to ask the boxing public, the boxing connoisseurs, the boxing fans, even the fanatics. That guy that was knocking everybody out and looking like a beast, and he was fantastic, and he were those people, and I have to add the Dillian Whyte situation in there, because Dillian Whyte, that was for the British title, if you remember. And Dillian Whyte was the first guy to hurt Anthony Joshua, rock him, give him problems, and make him look less than invincible. And after that, he went on and then fought Vladimir Klitschko and found himself on his back. The question I'll ask is, with Anthony Joshua doing what he was knocking all these guys out, how good was he at that point in time? And would the situation with Andy Ruiz and Alexander Usyk, people would say, if that Anthony Joshua fought Alexander Usyk, there wouldn't have been a problem. That Anthony Joshua, because they're looking at that Anthony Joshua saying, if we had that Anthony Joshua in the ring the night of the fight he fought Usyk, he would have won. The question I'm asking is, that Anthony Joshua you're saying, and you're looking towards and saying, we're going to get him to that level, is that level good enough? It's all right going back to saying, is that guy good enough? It's all right going back to like a safety net, a pillar of comfort. But is he actually? Is he even that good enough? Because he was, as people were saying then, learning on the job. So if he was learning on the job back then, and now he's considered an experienced champion, then are you suggesting that being the raw novice or being the guy that's learning on the job would have had a better chance of beating Alexander Usyk? Is this what you're suggesting? I'm just asking the question because this is something I keep hearing over and over again. What I would have preferred to hear from the trainer or the trainers is that somebody be honest and say, you know what he has done so far has been brilliant, it's been admirable, or it's been very good. However, because not everybody can become world heavyweight champion and make successful defenses and be successful financially as well, have to add those things, that those successes are great. But in Anthony Joshua's terms of the first quarter, this next quarter, this next phase he's going through into his life and being accountable, it just isn't good enough. We need to be better than that. We can't be going back to he was learning on the job. We now have to be, he's an experienced champion who's been beaten and now has to come back to reclaim his belts. And unless that's being said, or unless that has been noted, unless that has been said behind closed doors, or it has been addressed and said, look, what you've done before is fine and it's great and it's admirable, but where we are today in 2022 and the guy you're facing now, that has to be kind of like put to one side. And what we've got now is you have to be better than you were the night you fought him the first time. And then you have to be better still because he's going to be better still coming back into this second fight. And those are the things, those are the questions that, or the sort of way I would just like to ask boxing fans to think about this situation. Because if not, we will see the similar outcome again. I went back and look at Joshua versus Usyk, the first fight. And again, like I said at my post fight, and I'll say it now, there were pockets of opportunities in that fight where he hurt Usyk. There were people online that said to me, nah, he didn't hurt Usyk at all. No, he visibly hurt Usyk with right hands. He visibly hurt Usyk with right hands to the body and to their head, or body shots and head shots, but he didn't throw enough of them. And every time he did try to throw more punches, Usyk would land a straight left hand and would disrupt. He would disrupt Joshua's rhythm. So Joshua was not allowed to get into the sort of rhythm he would do in previous fights and throw punches to get the guy hurt, because Usyk himself is an outstanding boxer. He's not a good boxer. He's an outstanding boxer. From the cruiserweight division to the heavyweight division. You're an undisputed cruiserweight champion of the world and now heavyweight champion of the world. So you have an outstanding fighter there, okay, that Joshua had moments of success against. He says that he was in the fight and he said that he was going to use his boxing skills against Alexander Usyk and he lost the fight 9-3. I understand what he's trying to say. Well, I agree with what he's saying. It's neither here nor there, because who am I? But if you look at it that way, 9-3, I'll say you had pockets of success. Now it's about those pockets of success put together in such a way that when you go back and fight Usyk, there's no chances or less chances of escaping, and making exits when he's in the ring. Like, in other words, finding ways out when he's in trouble, being able to just get away out when he's in trouble. If he gets hit with a right hand, there's a follow-up. There's a succession of punches with that. When to throw punches and when not to throw punches. How to put yourself in a position to win a fight. But with Usyk, when he fought that fight, he laid it all on the line. He laid it all on the line. He was prepared to engage with a much bigger guy. He was prepared to engage with what's physically stronger. He was prepared to go against, fight with the beast. And when he fought with the beast, he found himself having lots of success. In as early as round 3, the straight left hand were the signs that the fight was not going to go the way that Anthony Joshua wanted it to go, and for his fans. And he allowed Usyk to bully him at times. When Joshua started to get a bit of confidence, Usyk put him back in his place very quickly by hurting him, by disrupting him, by every time Joshua said, right, I'm getting on top of you now, left hand will hit him and go, let me reset. Let me not engage because I could get knocked out here. Let me go back again. Something I mentioned in a previous video, that when Joshua was facing Andy Ruiz, still an unbeaten heavyweight, making his US debut, there's a sports psychologist that Joshua had real concerns about getting knocked out. This is before he even stepped in the ring against Andy Ruiz. And a reporter asked Anthony Joshua about the question about seeing a sports psychologist and being worried about getting knocked out. So this is the same guy, remember, the same beast that people were talking about, that if that guy was in the ring with Usyk, he would have beaten Usyk. And I just want to bring those things up in terms of where we are now. So a gun-shy boxer, fighter in Anthony Joshua, who doesn't want to let his hands go or is concerned about letting his hands go. And we've seen that since the Ruiz fight. Since the Ruiz fight, in the rematch, we had a safety-first approach. He looked good for me, doing what he had to do to neutralize what Andy Ruiz was. What Andy Ruiz was engaging with him a certain way, he had to box in a certain fashion, in a certain way. And that's the way he had to do to win the fight, and that's fine. Excuse me a second. Hello. Thought somebody's knocking my door, sorry. So he did what he had to do to win the fight. Did not engage with Andy Ruiz in the way that he did in the first fight, won the fight. Well done. Regains his title. Now, people expect him to box the same way against Alexander Usyk. Usyk's a better boxer. So he goes in there and boxes against Usyk because Tyson Fury said he's a big, stiff bodybuilder. He says it himself and decides to box against Usyk. And he comes up short. So now, you're going to now fight Usyk in a rematch. What strategy are you going to use? In the fight against Pulev, a fight that I actually thought Pulev could win, people laughed at me and said, you thought Usyk. I thought Pulev could win simply because I didn't believe that Joshua had mentally got over the Ruiz loss. Even though he bounced around the ring and did what he did, I thought that Pulev would bring the fight to Joshua. And by bringing the fight to Joshua, he would reopen those issues he had before. But Joshua looked pretty decent that night, and he made Pulev look pretty ordinary in the end. And it was an impressive performance. I thought, yeah, he looked really good then. But then we had the Usyk situation, and well, the rest is history. So it was the fight after that. So I'm thinking to myself now, how are they going to address this situation with Anthony Joshua in a short space of time? So the fight's in April, okay? So we are now January. By April, they're saying this fight's going to happen. So you're telling me that he is going to be able to suddenly start throwing more punches again. He's going to have strategy in place to beat Alexander Usyk. The pockets of success he had, he's got to put that together and execute that against Alexander Usyk, who now knows if I hit him with a left hand, I can hurt him every time. If I move in a certain way, I know how to work this guy out. I'm going to come in this fight even better still. So Usyk's not going to come in having changed much. He's just going to keep on doing what he's done, but just do it better. With Anthony Joshua now, He's got a mental game he's got to work on. He's got a physical game he's got to work on, because Ronnie Shields, if it's Ronnie Shields has got a huge job on task in his hand. He's not like Rob McCracken, who knows the strengths and weaknesses of Anthony Joshua. It's not like Rob McCracken, like, who knows the best weight for Joshua to fight at, or you would think, because he's known Joshua for so long. It's not like that. So Ronnie Shields has got a lot of bases to cover. He's got a lot of bases to cover in a short space of time against a guy who is legitimately one of the best pound-for-pound fighters of this era. So how did they go about it? Lennox Lewis, when he got knocked out by Oliver McCall, Emmanuel Stewart brought him back. And he brought him back. There was a series of fights that Lewis had. And then he got himself back. And he fought Oliver McCall. When he got knocked out by Hassan Rahman, that was a case of being complacent. This fight with Joshua isn't a case of being complacent. It's a case of a guy who actually is a better boxer than you. Technically, first off, he was always a better boxer than you. Whether he was physically stronger than you, we didn't think that, because of your physique and your size and all the rest of that. So we thought you could use your physical strength and ability to bully him. Now, that didn't work out. So where are we with this? Where are we going with this? What can Ronnie Shields put together? And in Ronnie Shields' experience, yes, he's trained Mike Tyson, and he's now training Jamal Charlo and quite a few other fighters. What has Ronnie Shields got as an experience? He's an experienced trainer, but what in his experience has he got dealing with a fighter who is, sorry for the term, damaged goods? How is he going to rehabilitate that fighter to be able to come forward against Joshua, and for Joshua to win in this fight, for Joshua to come forward and win this fight effectively? What's the game plan? How are they going to go about this? So it's a lot for Joshua and his team to consider. This new team, it's untried and untested. So the test is ultimately going into the Lion's Den. The Lion's Den not meaning he's fighting in Ukraine, but the Lion's Den meaning that he's going right back into the fire with an untested team. And Joshua made comments before about not needing an American trainer. A lot of those statements he made back then, now he's going to an American trainer for help. Is it now the money? Is it, I'll train Anthony Joshua because I'm going to get paid a lot of money for it? Or does this trainer really care about him? I'm not suggesting it's yay or nay, but there are other things and factors to throw into the equation as well. And the other things that came about Anthony Joshua and anxiety issues. Frank Warren made a very important point the other day. He said that, why do you need to listen to motivational talks on YouTube? Is it not enough motivation to be going out to fight for the heavyweight championship of the world? This is a guy, Anthony Joshua, who's openly been saying things that you think, why would you say that in an interview? Why would you expose yourself in that way? You're going to go and fight Usyk again, but the stuff you're saying, it really is not. It doesn't do well. You're giving your game plan. You're giving yourself away. You're giving your soul away almost to the guy you're going to fight again. Now, unless this is a complete setup, and it happens in boxing where people get paid off, and I don't think Usyk is that type of guy. But I've been wrong before. Unless there's a drastic change in Usyk's form and his performance, Joshua has a lot of challenges ahead of him. And the man before knocking everyone out, the guy that was learning on the job, is just not going to cut it. And I'm going to leave that right there. And then I'm going to read your comments because, I'm going to go through your comments right now. Should have done it the other way, but I just wanted to kind of stay on track. Right, let's see what people say. Kenny saying, good to hear from you again, bro. How are you, Cham? Any news from Ultra? Yes. I spoke to Ultra via email, and I'm trying to get on his show hopefully tomorrow. The gunslinger from Finchley, put some respect on Hercules' name. Ingram, yes. Greetings to you. Happy New Year to you, James, and greetings to you, my brother. Shirk, hope you're well. Pop, pop, bang. That's it. Yep, that's the one. Trevor Bryan fighting this month, then hopefully get smoked by Dubois. I my words to you on that would be, James, that the question asked is Daniel Dubois sufficiently prepared and ready to fight some of Trevor Bryant? Just because Trevor Bryant isn't fighting a quality opposition, it doesn't mean that Trevor Bryant isn't a quality fighter. I'll leave it as that. Dubois, when the going gets tough again, Dubois is going to have to ask the question. If he doesn't blow out Trevor Bryant in a few rounds, then he's going to be in the ring with a guy who's got some experience. So there's just some things that need to be looked at for that fight. But he's definitely got the power to cause Mr. Bryant a few problems. The WBO historical belt is essentially the super belt now. No one would say Lennox was the regular champion when he held it. It's the same as the super holder now. Thanks for that. Appreciate that. Boxing 247 20. Oh, sorry. It's Ruben Guerrero. Okay. It will be a kick in the teeth for McCracken if AJ keeps A Finance and Joby Clayton in team. Oh, okay. AJ's inability to be able to think on his feet and outsource the strategy won't work against Usyk. That's yeah. Boxing IQ is a big thing, and if you lack it, there's some issues. We'll see AJ versus White 2 pay-per-view after they both lose. That's nice to know. Okay, we said that already. White being safe for Joshua. Joshua will need a redemption story after Usyk finishes the job. Yes, it could be David Price, Tony Thompson over again. I hope not. When AJ said he didn't want to fight like Vlad ever again, it was a red flag. That was the first real hard fight of his career, and Vlad was 40 plus at time come for 18 months layoff. Yep. And according to Sky at the time, Vlad was his best version of Vlad ever. Yeah, and it's according to Sky, but Tyson Fury fought him before that and beat him, but he wasn't the best version of Vlad. Bless up, John. Hope you're well. Thoughts on Anthony Joshua saying he wants to practice boxing skills against Usyk? What sort of mentality is that? A practicing mentality, I guess. When I heard that, I kind of went, "Oh no, not again." Practice boxing. You look at it, it becomes almost like I guess I've become desensitized to it. Like you expect to hear certain things come out. But let's remember, Anthony Joshua is a boxer. Some people's expectation will make him to be like a prime minister, or he may come across sometimes like Gandhi or Malcolm X or whatever you want to call it. He may come across as that sort of figure, but he is professionally a boxer. That's what he is. And that's not to undermine or anything. It's just he's a boxer. That's what we know him for. Agree, promoted AJ as being all things to everyone. It's okay for him to be just a talented fighter who became a massive UK star, elevating British boxing. Why does he need to be all-time great as well? I'm not sure. Okay. Do you think Fury fights White? Would like to see that fight. Will be entertaining and build up. Also, ask the WBC. I think they're the ones behind that. AJ only needs to win more than twice the rounds that he did last time. Yes. I'd say that for everything AJ posts on Snapchat about boxing, he puts about 5 things about motivation building and being active in the community. It doesn't fill with confidence in him. Yeah, probably, I don't know. I think maybe people have more people have a lot more confidence in AJ than maybe AJ has in himself. I'm just saying. I don't know if that's true or not, but Usyk was prepared to get hurt to get hurt to land his left hand. Joshua will scrape his way around 12 rounds again. He will have pocket success again because Usyk takes risk. Yes, but that's where Joshua must capitalize on it, and that's where they're saying he must return to being that beast. But Ronnie Shields will find out how mentally scarred AJ is when he actually is put. You know, you could do all the stuff beforehand, all the pad work, look great in the gym, you know, and then the week of the fight, a panic attack sets in, or the night of the fight, he has a panic attack in the dressing room, or the night of the fight, you know, he's got concerns. You know, what does Ronnie Shields do then? Because Rob McCracken was there, and he could do anything about it. And Rob McCracken's known him for years. So, you know, I'm just saying, if, you know, that's Rob that's been with him years and known him psychologically and all that stuff. Again, I'm not saying Rob McCracken's the best trainer in the world, but of course he's been with him a long time. That doesn't make him a great trainer, but he's done a lot of great things with Joshua. That sounds like a contradiction, doesn't it? It does sound like a contradiction. He's been with Joshua a long time, so he would know Joshua better than anybody. He would know him better than Ronnie Shields would. That's my point. And so he would have a greater understanding. That's what I'm trying to say. He'd have a greater understanding of what makes Joshua tick and what doesn't make Joshua tick. Even if, you know, Shields may be better at Joshua technically doing the technical things better than McCracken at heavyweight level because he's worked with more heavyweights. That's what I'm saying. But McCracken, but McCracken would know Joshua better. Agreed. Robert Garcia seems left field, but Ferron seems adamant. You know, that's Ferron's problem. That's what Ferron thinks. That's his business. AJ wasting his time on Snapchat. It's cringe. What heavyweight champion wasting his time on Snapchat? You see, AJ was probably doing all these things before, but when he was under the full-time hype room promotion, people were loving it up. Now that it's all going Pete Tong wrong, people are saying, "Look, why is AJ doing this now? Why?" When AJ was doing it all the time. When I was talking to you about AJ when he was at Parker, when he had the Parker fight, I said AJ needs to leave Matchroom and he needs a new trainer. And I got steamrolled on this channel for it. So AJ was doing these things a long time ago. But it's only now that people actually look at it going, looking with a closer eye going, and plus with the pandemic as well, everything has become a lot more closed in. So we've got more time to focus on what people are doing, their behavior patterns and all the rest of it. You know, so he was doing this all along. It was just probably being monitored and controlled more under the hype room banner. He still is under the hype room banner, but I don't know how this lifetime contract works. I would like to know more about it. AJ has no idea how to fight a southpaw, and it's too late to learn. Well, if you listen to some people online, they will tell you that all he has to do is do what he did against Charles Martin and he would win. He'd win the fight. Again, Charles Martin came in with high motivation to do the right things, which was not to win the fight. I'll put it as simple as that to you. And yeah. So, yeah. Coming into the ring or preparing yourself, you've eaten with a pot noodle before the fight. I really don't think... it doesn't look for me a guy properly prepared to go and fight for the heavyweight or defend your heavyweight championship. I could say the belt was bought and all the rest of it, but we'll leave that for another day, another conversation. Will Usyk give Joshua a chance to save success though? You forget Usyk can improve. No, I don't forget. I know. And by the way, as I'm reading these messages, it's in. I'm reading it as I've already said what I've had to say. And I'm reading them back in the comments now, so they may look like if they're kind of like out of time, but they're not. Usyk may not give Joshua the same amount of opportunities, and he will improve, or you'd hope he improve. Can his team improve any further? And if he stays at that same level and he can't improve, he can just stay at that same level, then can Joshua bring himself up to be on par with Usyk? I'm not sure. On top of Usyk knowing he can hurt AJ, Usyk also knows he can land the left hand consistently, looping it around AJ's guard. Whenever he threw it, AJ landed. You just look at AJ's eye. Yep. So there's technical defense. So Ronnie Shields has to work on AJ's defensive skills. It's Usyk's footwork against AJ. Joshua's clues. He did look clues at times in that fight. Usyk at jabbing AJ, not good either. AJ comes on worse on outside and inside first fight, right? Well, Mike Tyson at 5'11", some say 5'9", was at jabbing a lot of his opponents. In the way that early Mike Tyson, the way he would leap at opponents and use the jab to get into distance. And these against much better, taller, longer jabbers. So, out jabbing someone, it's a skill and an art with it. And Joshua has never had what I would call a world-class left jab anyway. It was something I'd mentioned years ago, and now talking about it now. So, AJ can't learn proper footwork at this point. Well, not between now and April. I wouldn't have thought so. Did I have to do something? I have to adapt. Mind you, like I said, I've been proven wrong before. I would love for AJ to prove me wrong again. The better boxer tends to be more when they fight again, where the fight moves even more his way in a rematch. Yes. Usyk picks up where he left up in round 12 and knocks AJ out. That is the common consensus, or the consensus that many people are saying at the moment, that AJ will get knocked out by Usyk in the rematch. Even Tyson Fury says that AJ will get smashed by Usyk, but Fury will say one thing today and then another thing tomorrow. But that's Tyson Fury for you anyway. But yeah, I think from the outset, from what we can see, it doesn't bode well for Joshua at the moment. Usyk's footwork is something AJ cannot cope with. Joshua is clueless when it comes to countering this, and he doesn't have time to learn. My point is quite in sync with what you've just said. Looking forward to Khan Brook and Eubank Williams. Yes, thank you very much. I am too, but I think let's go ahead. Boxing Gospel says, no matter who trains him, he will still have all the other voices in his ear, and it will just be confused. Yeah, you do wonder with all those questions, all those trainers he's had, and all those advice. If you could stick 5 people in a room, and you can ask them how to make jerk chicken. Yeah, there's one. How to make jerk chicken, and I could put 5 different people from 5 different countries, right? And they'll give you 5 different ideas as to how to make jerk chicken. Even you could have one of the people in there be the originators of jerk chicken, and then the other 4 people in there have their ideas about it. So which one are you going to believe? And if you have no discernment about you, if you don't know who you are and where you're going, or if you don't know who you are, how are you going to know where you're going? Like, how do you know that this train is the best for you? How do you know that this is the way you have to go about this fight? How do you know if you trust the people around you who are not boxing people around you? How do you know? How do you know? AJ simply cannot just go swaggering into rematch, trying out box and master boxer, or he will be in for a hideous night. Well, you said it right there, my friend. It is what it is. Changes have to be made as he says, from the top. And he says changes have to be made from the top. And then he's the last. He's the performer. He goes out and performs. I would say the changes start first. The first person change to start with is yourself, and accountability, and being accountable for the decisions you make. And if you're not sure about this issue, mate, you've got to find someone you can trust. And in your sport, it would probably be somebody that actually has some history in the sport. I mean, I don't know. I hope the Ronnie Shields thing is a good move. I hope that Ronnie Shields is able to operate on using the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding he's got throughout his years, and he doesn't have people in between interfering with that stuff. I hope that he's able to operate and be the boss. If Ronnie Shields is the boss, then AJ can have some hope. But if Ronnie Shields is the boss, stroke puppet, which means that AJ is controlling the training sessions. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. This is why we're going to train today. This is how we should go. If AJ is the technical director, right, and he's also the fighter, and he's just Ronnie Shields is just there to make the camp look good, then there's a problem. Then there's a real problem. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, here. Usyk can only be getting more confident watching the turmoil and chaos around AJ. As I said it before, the case is that you can only grow in confidence with that, and you can only say, well, this guy showed me that he's scared of me. This guy is really worried about me. This guy has to change it, literally change his trainer because he's worried about me. He's worried about what I can do. So, I mean, that doesn't give somebody confidence. And that's not false sense of security, or it's like mind games. This is exactly what it is. Yeah, so that would be it, really, I think. So, thank you all so much once again. Really appreciate you listening in today. I hope it isn't. I hope it's announced that it's Ronnie Shields, because, as I said before, Ronnie Shields is probably the best placed man for the job. Let's see what's in here. AJ in the first 3 years fight. Why am I feeling like this? This is what AJ falls into when he's allowed to run things. Utter and complete chaos. Well, if the camp, if the training camp is anything like these interviews, then the heavyweight belts will remain in Ukraine. Thank you so much for watching. As always, don't forget to rate, subscribe, and leave your comments. This has been BWTM Sports Gaming, and you've been watching AJ Gunshy AJ and his new team's adventures. It's been fun. I've been enjoying it, and I look forward to doing this again soon. Take care.